Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of The 5 Stories the mainstream media refused to report to you. We're going to start today with a tragic, a horrendous story out of Australia. 4 newborn babies died in Adelaide, Australia, after being denied life-saving heart surgery because the government mandated COVID-19 travel restrictions prohibited interstate transport to a hospital outside Adelaide where they could have gotten the surgery. But did the mainstream media report this devastating, this heartbreaking story? No. The mainstream media was silent, even though politicians did this. Babies died because politicians did this. The New York Post is still locked out of their Twitter account 7 days after they first broke the story of Hunter Biden's laptop and the emails that show Hunter Biden selling access to Joe Biden while Joe was vice president. Think about that. 2 weeks before a presidential election, one of the most widely circulated newspapers in our entire nation was locked out of their Twitter account, prohibited from sharing their reporting on one of the biggest social media platforms in our nation, thanks to blatant partisan censorship from big tech and a complete lack of journalistic curiosity on the part of the mainstream media. But did the mainstream media report this to you? Nope. The mainstream media refused to touch the Hunter Biden laptop story because the corruption of Hunter hurts Joe Biden, and the mainstream media won't report anything that might hurt Joe Biden. Speaking of which, John Ratcliffe, the director of national intelligence, says there is no evidence or intel that indicates that Hunter Biden's laptop is part of a Russian disinformation campaign. In fact, the FBI has seized Hunter Biden's laptop as part of a money laundering probe, according to law enforcement officers. As one officer told Fox News, and I quote, "The FBI cannot open a case without predication, so they believed there was predication for criminal activity. This means there was sufficient evidence to believe that there was criminal conduct," end quote. But did the mainstream media report this to you? No, of course not. In the state of Virginia, the Fairfax County Teachers Union wants schools to remain closed until August of 2021. That's nearly a whole year from now. These teachers' unions are ignoring the science, which shows that children are more likely to die from the flu than from COVID-19, and the rate of COVID-19 infections among school staff is similar whether the schools are in person or remote. Nonetheless, the teachers' unions, who in general are demanding radical leftist policies be implemented before they will return to teaching, but pretending their ultimatums are about COVID, want the schools closed for the next year. Did the mainstream media report this story to you? Nope, they barely mentioned it. Sweden's chief epidemiologist Anders Tegnell says the country will continue to avoid government-mandated lockdowns. Tegnell says, and I quote, "You don't need to completely isolate anymore. Just avoid big gatherings, keep a distance," end quote. But did the mainstream media report this to you? No. In fact, the mainstream media blatantly lied about this. Business Insider, for example, reported instead that Sweden is moving away from its no-lockdown strategy. Business Insider did not mention until halfway down the article that, and I quote, "Unlike in other countries, there will be no fines or legal consequences for people who decide not to follow any new advice," end quote. Since the mainstream media refuses to report any of that to you, I will.